What was the trigger that made you say I needed a reset?
So I was I've been working at startups basically for the last 8 years. All two of them went down insolvent. Then I was working for this other startup for the last 5 years, and I thought this is gonna be stable. And even after 5 years, the company can still fail. So after 5 years at the company, everybody getting laid off due to insolvency. Okay, we got served our our papers on a December 23rd,
Oh
which
my
was
god, man.
which was
Oh
insane.
my god.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody was really like, even the person handling the insolvency case told us, the secretary said, I refuse to hand out the layoff papers on a December 23rd. You do it yourself. So the lawyer had to hand out the letters himself
Of course,
because
man. I
it
mean,
was such an awful day.
how
Yeah.
awful is that to do it before Christmas?
Well, it's unfortunately a very common situation, I think. Yeah. So I got laid off, and while I was looking for a job, I had some time to spare, and I noticed my life had been in like some sort of an autopilot mode for the last few years, just working, sleeping, eating, meeting my friends, but nothing. There was no passion. There was nothing going on. So I thought, I have time now. I have I can do something crazy. And I thought about Japan. Like, I was never that interested in Japan, but I thought I always wanted to visit. But then I never had time or money, or then the pandemic came, so there was no chance. But now I did. So in January 2024, I just, out of impulse, I booked a plane to Tokyo 2 days later. Like, it was a very impulsive thing, but I did it. And the moment I stepped in Tokyo, it was like getting a defibrillator hitting you in the chest. It was such a cultural shock that it kind of made me made me realize that I was actually alive in that moment. I wasn't on autopilot mode anymore.
You arrived, found your apartment. How was the first day, Christian?
It was very surreal. I couldn't believe I was in Japan. Actually, the days before going to Japan, I was so anxious, knowing that I'm going somewhere where I don't speak the language. Everything is different. I don't know anybody. I was so anxious that I had to medicate myself for the days before. Anxiety pills just to be, just to be able to sleep and whatever. And the moment I stepped in Tokyo, the whole anxiety just went away. I was like, this is okay. Everything is nice here. Everything is safe. People are super nice to me. Even if they don't speak Japanese, even if I don't speak Japanese, people are very nice to me, and we try to translate somehow.
But the
Uh,
the could you come along with English?
Very difficult. Like, things like signs, transportation signs, and menus in many restaurants are in English, but some other restaurants do not have English menus, and I would say one in every 20 people could speak English. It's very, and not it, like, they cannot even speak words of English. Like, the level of English in Japan is really, really bad. It's
Did you get to understand words to be able to help yourself?
I was I had been learning Japanese for at least 2 to 3 months. Like, I had private classes once a week, so I could combine with at least 20, 30 phrases. But aside from that, it was all unknown territory for me.
And how was the first shopping experience? Because you had the apartment, you had to go shopping.
Yeah, so I, I had to go. I went to the supermarket and I was like, what the hell is everything? Like, I had to pull out Google my phone and Google Translate everything, and then I realized I bought the wrong type of soup, or this I didn't buy oil, I bought soy sauce without noticing, like things like that. But with time, I realized actually what is what. The thing is, most things you can find there. The only thing you would not find in Japan or easily cheese, cheese or good like milk products.
That was the beginning. And how did it evolve?
Well, so 1 week after arriving, I fell ill with influenza, but it was the worst influenza of my life. I
Oh
was
man,
I had 40 degrees for like 10 days in a row, and at a few moments I was like, I need to go to the hospital. I'm like I'm dying. Like this is really bad. I have never had a flu this bad. Luckily, well, I managed to pull myself to like a doctor like 25 minutes away, and to my luck, the one of the secretaries spoke English, and the doctor spoke English, and that was not advertised. And I lived in a random neighborhood away from all the foreigner neighborhoods, so it was very lucky on my part. And that was when I realized I was feeling really bad, but I realized how nice people in Japan are. Like the secretary, after the doctor confirming I had influenza, he did a test on me. She went with me to the drugstore and talked to the staff at the drugstore that I needed this and this medication. She did that all for me. Like she went to the drugstore with me. And
that's nice.
I was so embarrassed but thankful that they did that for me. I felt it what made me really emotional at the moment because I felt really bad and I was alone and I didn't speak Japanese, but they accommodated me somehow. Yeah, that speaks a lot for Japanese people. They're
Absolutely, absolutely.
so
I
nice.
try, I try to imagine that in Germany.
Yeah. No, would never happen. First, they will tell you, yeah, drink some tea and have some ibuprofen. Yeah, and just go away. After a 3 hour wait, of course. Yeah,
By the way, we come from different areas of Germany, but it's happening absolutely the same. So
I think it's
feel
everywhere in Germany.
absolutely, absolutely. What's your temperature? 39. That's okay. You're still
Yeah,
not even 40. What do you
take
call?
some tea. Take some tea,
What do you
and
call?
yeah.
Leave us alone.
I mean, I don't want to diss like my doctor in Germany is really good. He's kind of crazy, but he's really nice. But yeah, the German healthcare system and the empathy in some people and how overburning it is, it just makes a bad experience for everybody, I think. I didn't cook a single time in Japan, and let's just say that. The food is so amazing, so fresh, so the 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 culture in Japan, no matter what job it is, they will always strive for perfection. And that also is reflected in their cuisine, in their food. They always strive for perfection. Like whatever they do, based on pressure or desire, they will always strive to make the best food or the best garbage disposal, the best office worker. Everything is striving for perfection. And that is reflected in the food as well. And as a European, the prices are very low as well for the food. So I could eat like a king for 7, 8 euros. Like a king. Like
Oh,
yeah,
but they destroyed your sushi experience, right? You cannot have sushi anymore in Europe.
exactly. I will never have sushi in Germany again. At least not from like a cheap or like reasonably priced place.
The
The
supermarket sushi, the famous
Oh my God,
supermarket.
no. And I don't know if you've seen the onigiris, the rice pockets
Yeah.
that you can buy here. They cost like, at least in my supermarket, about 3 euros 50. They're super small and they taste like crap. In Japan, they cost less than $1, and they're amazing. So yeah,
What was the thing that you like the most?
food wise
Yeah, food
or
wise,
in
food
general.
wise.
So All the food, like all the restaurants I visit were amazing. But I think well, for once, I had the best pasta of my life in Japan, which is amazing. Like pasta in Japan, but I went to this restaurant
Two
and
Italian, two Italian died now.
I
Two,
know. I'm sorry, I don't know why. And it was a normal tomato sauce pasta. It was a very simple pasta, but I tasted like this. I've never tasted something like this ever. I don't know what secret ingredient they used, but it was the best pasta of my life. That's yeah. But aside from that, the sushi, the tonkatsu, which is like breaded pork or breaded chicken, with curry or not. I don't know. Uh, a sushi, tempura, which is also like fried seafood or fried vegetables. Everything was in my 6 months in Japan, I had two meals what I thought they were just like average or like not very good. Two meals out of 6 months. That's how good the food I thought over there.
you had a huge gap in the time difference. You had to adapt to a smaller living place. But
Mm.
what of all this was the most challenging things that you need to adapt to in Japan?
Language barrier, 100%. Like
Okay.
that like I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to like understand what was being said. Read even reading because they all use, their Chinese characters that you don't know how to read. Like you don't even know how to read because if you're in Europe and you're in a strange country, you still know how to read. I mean, you don't know what it's saying, but you know what you are reading at least, and not even that in Japan or China or South Korea. So the language barrier was, I think, the biggest challenge.
Mm, I mean, the fact that not that many people were speaking English, I think that made
Yeah.
it complicated. But did you get I think it's a bit far fetched, but did you get a friend there, like someone that you can spend time with?
I made friends. There's this app called Time Left. I don't know if you've ever heard called. It's well, at least it's very popular in Berlin too. But basically, you sign up, you complete a short personality test, and then they pair you with five or six other strangers to have a dinner on a Wednesday night. So you go there and you don't know anybody, and then you're supposed to meet people from our different personalities and like backgrounds and stuff. So I did this in Tokyo, and I met three great friends through this app. Um, yeah, like even like other expats, but also like a half Japanese, half Peruvian girl. Like there's all sorts of people on this app, and I think it's a good way to meet other people through food. Yeah, the food was also amazing on that dinner. So yeah,
Well,
even if
I
you don't like the people, you at least have good food.
food connected people is your case because
Maybe I'm just a food enjoyer, but I think it's at least worth just for the food itself.
but were you always like this with food, or was it
No,
just that
actually not.
Japanese was?
Yeah, I'm actually very picky. I don't eat seafood or whatever. And in Japan, I tried everything. Like, there's very few things I would say no to in Japan, like maybe shark fins or something like that.
Was there something which took you completely by surprise that you didn't know about Japan before moving there?
Well, not surprised, but the the garbage rules. And in Germany, they're very there might be confusing a bit. In Japan, it's another level. The level of care for garbage separation and all the rules. I had to print out the garbage rules and put it and paste them on my wall because I was afraid of screwing up. That's, that's how bad it was.
My friend,
Yeah.
have you ever been in Baden-Württemberg selecting garbage?
No, is it
You
bad?
need a master degrees. You
Yeah,
need them
it's like that. Yeah, is it like that?
like at least in Berlin you have Gilbesack. You just put it on the street and that's
I
it.
am.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't
No,
have that in Stuttgart?
no, no.
No,
not on the countryside. No, I don't live in the city, and on the countryside you have recycling hof, and you have to go there, and you have
no way. You have to go?
yes, yes, you have of course.
Wow.
Of course, you have to go there. You have to first of all find a way to select it to gather it at home in separate because to make the separation there it's a disaster. Then you go there and you have a
No
you have a
way.
bin. You have a bin for plastic bottles. You have a bin for plastic cups, like you know the yogurt one. You have a
No
bin for
way.
foil. You have a bin for sonstickers, so everything that doesn't fit in the other
No
things.
way.
And then you have another bin for high value plastic, like when you have a, I don't know,
Is this a
a big can.
Baden-Württemberg thing? I've never heard of this
Yes,
before.
yes.
That
It's
sounds. What if you don't have a car?
not their problem.
Surprised nobody came to your door knocking and shouted at you for not separating.
Yeah, they don't search inside your resmul.
Well,
That's the advantage.
at least that's an advantage because in Japan they do. In Japan, there's actually like the municipality will come and like paste you a very passive aggressive sticker if you don't separate uh correctly, or they might actually fine you. If they find out that you didn't do it well, they might actually fine you.
But how do they find out?
You don't have anything else to do because everybody the 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 thing is everybody does it well and there's no crime, so people like the police doesn't have much to do there, so they are assigned to these trivial tasks. Like
That's kind
it's
of
very rare,
sad.
but it can happen. Like you should not screw up.
I mean, that's a surprise. I have to be honest. You did match my question really good because I didn't expect that anything could be worse
But
than
it's
in
a
Germany.
very orderly society. I mean, Tokyo is the amount of people and some stations is insane, but there's you don't feel overwhelmed because there's always, at least I didn't feel overwhelmed. I hate crowds, but I didn't feel overwhelmed because there's always a sense of order. Even with that amount of people, there's always order.
What's something about Japan or maybe Japanese culture that you think more people should know, Christian?
I think that this concept of striving for perfection is something that really inspired me. Like like all jobs are respected there, from garbage disposal to office man to no matter what how low your rank or your job is, it will always be respected. But you also have to perform in this job. And I had this story. I went to this ramen shop, super small place, like really like tiny. You could see like four people. The prices were super low, and I like there were two or three workers there, and I thought, "Wow, these people make minimum wage, and still the ramen tasted amazing." And there was this guy, he was working on making the noodles, like preparing the noodles from scratch. Like he was like beating into the noodles and like whatever, and he was smiling while he was doing it. He was smiling and smiling all the time, and I just reflected this guy is truly enjoying this mundane task of just preparing noodles for this super small shop in this part of Kanda, which is not really, it's just like a worker's place, and he makes peanuts on the dollar, and he's completely enjoying it and doing it the best he can. And then I thought, I have a much better job. I have much better work-life balance, and sometimes I complain about my job and why? Like I should try to do it as best as I can and not and think about just trying to enjoy and do it as best as I can.
Where is home, Christian?
Excellent question. Personally, I don't know. I when I came back to Berlin, I honest well I I also had rented my place. I rented my
Hmm.
place. So they had changed a lot of things in my place and everything was different. But aside from that, when I came back to Berlin and I arrived in my apartment, I didn't feel like home. I felt like I was like entering a strange place. I wasn't feeling. But being in Japan, I also knew my time was was finite. I couldn't stay, so Japan wasn't also my home. So, but I've never felt completely at ease at any place. When I lived in Costa Rica, I thought I don't really belong here. In Germany, I've never felt like I really belonged here either. So my home is a very difficult question. I've never felt completely at ease at any place.
I think you know when you'll find it, and I think it's a feeling, it's not a place.
It is. You're right.